don't need that anymore. What is going on, guys? This is obviously Jordan here, back again with another video. We're probably about 3 minutes in by this point. I haven't actually edited all that earlier stuff yet, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that little thing that I had going on earlier. I just figured, man, like I've been putting out videos for a while, and like I got into a routine of just pumping out video. But I think one thing that I lost track of doing, that I was doing earlier in the channel days, but not so much recently, is just being, you know, relevant, as in talking about things that are happening at the moment, you know. And obviously right now, one of the biggest things that's going on is, you know, the pandemic outside, work from home, from uni and stuff like that. So I thought, let me actually put out a video that's relevant to the people that are, you know, in my space, because the internship game, it's all good fun, and I've got a lot of people support me from that. But a lot of people I've realised aren't actually applying for stuff at the moment. A lot of people are kind of going through it. So I thought, let me share my actual experiences on, you know, working from home. Obviously, I'll talk a bit about COVID, and I'll talk a little bit about digital fatigue. You know, the fact that I'm living in Bristol instead of in London, my family, and things like that. So I think the first thing to start with here, since obviously the video is called, you know, A Day in the Life at Uni, but I mean, I would go and do like a whole day in the life, like a vlog style video, but there literally is nothing else that goes into this day. Like I get up, I get ready, go for like a quick walk, and then I sit at my desk all day, you know, tapping away. There's literally nothing else that goes into it. I mean, I do cook at some point, obviously, but I'm the type of person where I like to meal prep. You know, I'll go on like a Monday, like I literally cooked yesterday, loads of rice, loads of chicken, and that's gonna last me the whole week. So I haven't actually, like literally what I'm gonna do at some point is get up, microwave my food, come back, watch a lecture. Like there's literally nothing else that goes into my day. I got a PS5 actually. I can record like some gameplay if if you guys want that. But nah, I don't. There's nothing else into it. So yeah, that's essentially it. The days I like to start off in the morning by not sitting at my desk, because even though I get more work done early in the day, you quickly get fatigued, which is what I'm going to talk about later as well, digital fatigue. But I'd rather like come in with some sort of energy and then just get, you know, hit the ground running, and then work throughout the rest of the day. But otherwise, yeah, there's nothing else that goes into it. So as I was saying, work from home. For me, I don't really mind it. I mean, I see myself as a lot more of a, you know, a digital nomad or something anyway. Like I don't really leave my room much, other than like I'm seeing my friends, or back in the days like the odd lecture. But 9 times out of 10, I'm just sitting here, you know, I'm doing my work online, everything's on Blackboard. I do go in if it's a difficult concept. So like if I'm a bit behind or I'm struggling to understand something, then I'll go in and catch up. And like I'll ask the relevant questions. But otherwise, like it's so much better learning online anyway, because the lecturer just talks really slow. It doesn't always seep in. If you know, if I wake up early for 9 AM, I'm not even really with it. I'm kind of just sitting there for the sake of being there. And then because I'm there, it's like I get the mental, like a stimulus. So it's like I don't need to do it later because I've already seen it, when in reality only like 10% has gone in. Whereas if I just watch it, you know, 3 hours later online, I can put it in 2x so I can actually hear it without all the long pauses. I can like pause when necessary, take the right notes, and I'm more awake, more alert. So I much prefer doing it online anyway, unless, as I said, I go out and ask questions. So for me, I haven't really struggled too much. And then even things like, you know, YouTube videos on me sitting at my desk recording videos anyway. The podcast, I sit here, I always put my microphone, you know, right here, and I talk into it. So I'm not, most of my hobbies, most of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis are indoors like anyway. So me personally, I haven't really been too hurt by it, you know, too disturbed by it. The only thing is, and I think I'll talk about this a bit more in depth as well later, is that work from home, when you can go outside, when when campus is open, it doesn't really feel like I'm working from home. It feels like I'm just being not being lazy, but it's like I'm being organized. Like I'm here because I want to be here. Now that I can't go to uni, now that campus is closed, things like that, it's like it doesn't feel like I'm organized anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm in control anymore. All that flexibility of being at home is kind of gone when it's like you have to be here. It's like I'm not here by choice. Like the lectures are literally online. Like, technically I can, well, in Bristol I can't because we're tier 3. But if we were tier 3, for those who don't know, is like the maximum. So after lockdown in the UK, we introduced a tier system. But tier 1 is like, you know, you're pretty safe here. You can, like, all the pubs are open, things are kind of running as somewhat normal. Tier 3 is like the worst position. It's like the rates are quite bad. Everything's still kind of closed. We're still basically in lockdown, although there aren't those like big fines anymore. But what that means is that if we weren't tier 3, I could like go to a cafe or something and still at least get a different sense of environment while still doing my work. But because we're in tier 3, I literally can't go anywhere else, and everything kind of feels like my work is on my laptop. And that's another thing as well. It's like when I'm in uni, if I want to do work, I can go to the library, and then when I'm done, I can go home, and I physically separate myself from work and home. Whereas now that everything's on my laptop, it's like as soon as I open this, even if I'm on YouTube, I still just have this stress in the back of my mind because I see the Blackboard tab in the corner looking at me, and I know that I need to be doing work, or that maybe I'm missing something, I'm behind on something. So it's interesting for sure. I don't think work from home is that big a deal for me as an individual, but I do concede that it is very difficult when it's nothing else. When your options are kind of gone and there's nothing else you can do, that's obviously difficult. I would always recommend, if you can't physically set up different spaces, like I do everything in my room, which I don't think is great, because work from home kind of feels like living at work, and once those two worlds kind of collide, this feels really weird. Sometimes I want to sleep and I just feel like I can sleep because my bed's there, but other times it's like I need to be doing work, and I come here because I have to be doing work. It's like it's difficult to physically, even though my bed's over there, it's difficult to fully separate myself, because even my laptop, I watch Netflix and YouTube videos from my laptop as well, so it's all kind of, it's too merged at the moment, and it's kind of annoying for me, but it's not really that deep. Like I can get through it. I haven't really struggled too much, but again, I can see that it's not for everyone. And as I said, as I was going to say, I recommend, if you can, possibly splitting up your workstation, so you have like a chilling and sleeping area, you have like a work or creativity area, obviously you have cooking, if you need to go for walks, go for a jog or whatever, work out, do that outside if you haven't got a garden. So I would recommend splitting things up like that and just having actual dedicated time zones for doing each of those things, because otherwise, as I said, once things become like a mush, that's kind of when things get really bad, especially sleep. I think sleeping patterns have been screwed up because of COVID, and that's not a very good thing. Like, it's good to maintain some sense of stability, some sense of organization, which just helps me a lot, and I recommend most people, if you are struggling with that, to try and get that sorted as well. I guess my last interesting thing I got to say on work from home is that even though, you can leave uni anytime and suddenly you've left, the same thing kind of applies on the laptop, where it's like, I don't know how it works on iOS. I think MacBooks also have like a digital desktop feature as well. But on Windows, I can set up two, desktops. So one of them, I'll have like all my normal tabs, and then when I'm working, I'll go to desktop 2, and that's when I'll open Blackboard. That's when I'll open my Bristol. That's when I open all my lectures and stuff. And then the second I'm done with uni, I close the whole desktop. It's the equivalent of like shutting the laptop or like leaving the library and like literally putting that to bed. Putting that behind you. So that's an interesting tip as well. Like if you can. I don't know how MacBooks work as much, but if you can set up separate desktops or separate like home pages or whatever, definitely do that. Definitely get that stuff out. I don't have my uni email just on my phone anymore because I just hate feeling like I'm at work. So try and separate things as much as you can if possible, if needed, I should say. And work from home, it's alright, but it's not. It could be better. The next thing I want to talk about is digital fatigue. So digital fatigue is something that I don't think there's an you know what, let me actually Google a definition for digital fatigue. There probably is one now. My interpretation is that it's when you're just like really tired of being online all the time. But according to blog.walkme.com, it says digital fatigue is a state of mental exhaustion and disengagement that occurs among people who are required to use numerous digital tools and apps concurrently. So that's probably a better definition than the one I just gave. But essentially, it's like when you're, especially now in the work from home environment where everything's online, you have all your emails open, you have your lectures or your videos, whatever, your meetings across Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, all this different crap. Like, it's very easy to just be tired about it, especially when it comes to messages and replying to people. It's getting to a point now where I just get so many messages and it's like, someone might just be like, it could just be my mum saying, oh, how are you today? So I'm like, oh, I'll reply later, man. Like, I don't want to have to think about replying to that and then text it. Especially me, like, I'm someone that I don't like saying, like, good. I like giving an actual, like, a substance to my replies. So it just stresses me out, and I don't like, that's the one thing that's actually getting to me, beyond, like, all the work from home features. But it's tough. I mean, I know both on Android and on iOS, because I do have, as you guys would know, long-time fans would know, I've got both phones, and they both have cool features where you can go into digital well-being and just set your phone to like automatically turn off certain apps or to automatically lock certain features. That's something that I've been using quite a lot in this era, because it means that if I go on Instagram for more than like half an hour, it will just time out or say, no, you can't use it anymore. If I go on Outlook after like 6 o'clock, because sometimes I log into my uni email address. If I'm on there past like a certain time, I'll just cut out and say, no, you can't do it anymore. And automating all those features is such a great thing, because it's difficult for me, and I think for most people to as well, to be fair, to just know when the limit is and be disciplined and be like, nah, you know what, let me just turn this off. So that's something that I've done, and obviously I recommend you guys do it as well. I'm not sure if it's as Like, I haven't actually used the iPhone version as much as I have the Android one, because obviously my Pixel's my main phone. But I do know it exists. It does. I can actually show you my activity today. I've used 5 minutes so far. 6 minutes. Oh, that's not fun. But yeah, it says all the things I've used, like Trello. It says I've used Trello for 2 minutes. If you can see that, I've used, what is that? Clock, messages, settings. You know, messages are my first pickup, 8:47. First thing in the morning, man. Says a lot about my character. But yeah, I would always try and automate things and try and spend as little time online outside of work as possible, because even though I enjoy, like, even though back in the normal days I would spend a lot of time online, because I'm always online now, like, being online doesn't feel like escapism. It doesn't feel like I'm getting away from anything. It just feels like I'm staying in work for longer. So I'd rather shut my laptop, leave my phones here. And nowadays when I cook, I don't even bring myself with me. I used to bring my phone and play music, but now I just leave everything in here. I go and cook, and I cook for about an hour and clean for about half an hour to an hour afterwards, and that becomes like my downtime. Even though it's the worst downtime ever, like, I don't like cooking, I hate cleaning. It's just a way to, I guess, allow my eyes to not be staring at a screen, and to allow myself to recognize that I'm still rooted in reality and not just in the virtual space. So that's a tip that I recommend for other people as well. A lot of things that aren't typically hobbies, or maybe you don't typically enjoy but you should be doing anyway, use that as a chance to put your phone away. Tidying up, as I said, doing dishes, cooking, hoovering, putting your stuff in the washing machine. Like, I have music on all the time, me personally. So now it's like, you know what, let me just allow it for now. Even if it's just 5 minutes, as I said, to put stuff in the washing machine, I'll firm it, because it's just a break from this. I think my final take on digital fatigue is that it's one thing. Like, my family don't necessarily wear glasses. Like, we have a relatively good set of genes when it comes to our eyes. I think my dad wears glasses. That's about it. However, obviously, in this recent era, I mean, my eyesight's actually been getting consistently worse as I've grown up, because my parents obviously never had phones when they were young, and I had a phone at a relatively young age, and I was one of those, idiot boys that when I was once you first discover you can talk to girls, like, what? Girls have phones too? I was literally laying in bed some nights until 3 a.m. with my phone like right here in my face, texting away for hours. And obviously that's not a great thing to do, because if you have anything this close to you for so long, you're gonna become short-sighted, which of course, at long last, spoiler alert, I'm actually short-sighted. I got these glasses to prove it. These are my new ones. I think they're pretty cool. They seem like a bit professional, but but yeah, my eyesight hasn't really been great in the last couple of years, but they've definitely become substantially worse in recent history due to, of course, working from home all the time. And that, while it's annoying, to be fair, my eyes aren't actually that bad. They're like, what, -1? Like, I'm slightly short-sighted, but that's it. But it's still annoying knowing that, my body is consistently regressing purely because of what's going on outside. Like, I'd rather be sick than not be able to see. At least a cough, you can like cover it up, whereas glasses kind of stay there forever. And I'm messing around, but you know what I mean. Like, there are bigger health circumstances, health risks, I guess, to working from home all the time, and it's just important to think about what the long-term effects might be. For example, your back. I myself need to get actually a laptop support, so my laptop, instead of being flat on the table, it's upright. That allows me to sit with my back straight, and I can type normally instead of having to lean over and slouch. I know you can also get like cushions for your chair that are like at a certain angle. Shout out to Health Shack. I know they recently put out. My friends run that. I don't know. I've never thought of a sales pitch before, but I know the guy who owns it, and I know they're selling these these inverted chair cushion things that are good for your back. Obviously, you sit on it, and it helps you be less slouchy over your laptop. You know what? I'll put the link in the description for Health Shack. Check out their page. They do a lot of great stuff. David, the guy who co-runs it, he's like a chiropractor. Is he a chiropractor? Or like a back specialist? Or a physio? I don't even know. I really should have done my research before doing this video, but you know what I mean. It's good stuff. Fundamentally it's good stuff. And yeah, those are definitely things that need to be looked out for. Your back, of course, especially your lower back and your eyes. Me myself, I haven't done much yet, and to be fair, I say yet, it's literally like almost over. The vaccine's due in the UK like tomorrow actually, but for the long term, it's definitely more of an option. I'm definitely going to buy their cushion thing and think more about how I can protect myself in the future. Because all these people are saying like, oh, I don't want to get the vaccine because it might not be safe, long-term risk, blah blah blah. You're literally staring at a screen all day, eating the booty like groceries. So I don't know how much I take you lot seriously, but yeah, just think about the long-term effects of what's going on, and I guess try and adapt to that. Something that I'm trying to do more, and it's something that I think is super important, especially in the long run. But those are kind of, I guess, my final tip actually on digital fatigue, because I didn't actually talk about the digital side of it. I'm talking more about the physical, back and eyes. But as far as the actual digital things go, I mean, I talked about briefly putting things away, putting things down. I've been using night sight and all these different like dark modes and stuff a lot more frequently, just so I can reduce the amount of blue light getting to me. There's also like blue light glasses you can get, but enough of all that. The main thing, I think the best thing actually that I've done, which is, it seems simple, but it's actually, like, I didn't think of it until it was too late, but it's that one, I've got a dedicated space for this. Like, I don't really take my things off of my desk. As I said, when I go to cook, it stays here. But the most important thing is alarms. I've been setting so many alarms recently. So it's like, I'm going to do this for an hour and that's it. Or I might set my laptop here, and if every now and then I'll try and see if I can touch it. If I can touch the screen, it's too close. So I've been trying to like be more practical about it, and literally having like defined, time slots, locations, like being almost too organized. That's my alarm right now. Like, I'm being too organized, but I think it's good, and I think it's definitely important for other people to think about how you can enable yourself to not just, because you don't want to take a break when you need a break. You want to take a break before you need to take a break, because otherwise you're going to overload yourself. So setting alarms and sticking to those alarms, sticking to those spaces, making sure you don't destroy these boundaries will ensure that you never, hopefully you don't even get overloaded, you don't even get fatigued, you don't even get burnt out, because you're protecting yourself in advance. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on digital fatigue. I guess the next thing that I want to talk about, well, to be fair, I was going to talk about COVID, but before I go into that, I want to talk more specifically about why I'm here in Bristol versus, in London, my family home. And I think a lot of people, at least early in the lockdown, at least within my circle as well, at least, complained that like they don't really have any workspaces. And I talked about this several times in this video as well, like having, proper spaces, defined areas to do certain things. And while at home you get to save money because you don't do as much shopping and stuff, you get to be with your family. You're not going to be alone in a room all the time. At least especially for me, where I share a room as well. But it's like, yes, you do have the benefit of being at home with family and having, not having to cook as much or whatever. But it comes down to, again, for me, and I'm sure for several other people who maybe aren't like the richest or at least middle class and upwards, where you just don't have those defined spaces. It's virtually impossible. For me right now to talk about, I've got my desk here, my bed there, I've got the kitchen with like all different spaces that I can use and go to whenever I want. Even though, yes, at home I do have, a bedroom, a kitchen, certain spaces. None of them are mine. None of those spaces are specific for me. And even my own bedroom, like, as I said, first of all, I share my room. But on top of that, like, as we're a family, we operate as a unit. Like, anyone can come into my room at any time, basically. It's like an open door policy, that's like 24/7. At least here, if I close my door, my flatmates will know, okay, Julian's probably busy. But in my, my normal house, if I close my door, my brother's still gonna come in because he, sleeps in there as well. His TV, well, it's technically my TV and my PlayStation, but he plays it most of the time. He's gonna be standing there playing games non-stop. It's gonna be difficult for me to say, yo, Aaron, like, get out. I got work to do. Because then at the end of the day, like, both of us have that shared space. There has to be a way for us to compromise and figure out how things are gonna go. And I'm not gonna be the one to. I mean, technically, yes, you can argue I do have some extra rights there. One, being the oldest, and two, having work be more important than Fortnite. But at the same time, it's like, it's both of our rooms, it's both of our equal space. There's no easy way for me to say, and this applies to the whole house. There's no easy way for me to go down and say, look, you guys can't do this while I mean, I can, obviously you can, but it's not easy, is my point. And I don't think many people even do that. Whereas here, as I said, this room is like definitely mine. Even though we all technically pay the same rent and the same bills, and we're all friends, like, the boundaries are more obvious, they're more explicit. Like, this is my room. You can't just walk in if the door's closed. Whereas, as I said, at home, that works differently. As far as like cost and expenses go, I don't actually mind it too much. Like, I talked about earlier in the video how I do my meal prep. I'm actually quite good with cooking. Our bills are kept relatively low. As you can see, like, I've been wearing this for several episodes. I'd rather wear more clothes in my house and keep the bills down than pay more money for heating. And I don't even mind wearing, like, this is a dressing gown. It's not like I'm wearing a coat and going out of my way to stay warm. Like, it's not actually that bad. So as far as expenses go, it's not that bad. Obviously, cooking and having to clean up after myself and all the responsibilities, you can argue, are a bit more. But as I've also said in this video, I actually prefer having that time off where I can like put my, leave my laptop and everything here, go and do some cooking, go and do some washing, put stuff in the washing machine. Like I actually enjoy, I benefit from having those additional responsibilities, as it gives me an opportunity to not work. Whereas if I'm at home, and to be fair, I do my own washing at home anyway, but when I'm at home, mum cooks, dad usually does the washing, the dishes, as to say. Obviously, yeah, I tidy my own room, but that's basically it. Outside of my room, food's ready. Mum would say, "Oh, Jordan, come get your food." I go and says, "Get my food, come back up." And in that environment, especially because our living room, I talked about my brother playing games a lot in my room. In the living room, my other brother plays a lot in that room. So it's not like I can just sit there and put on a film. I have to deal with more people again, equally using their equal space. And again, there's no easy way for me to say that, look, you can't play games anymore because I want to watch TV. And it just means that, as I said, those well-defined barriers that I put up here in my space just don't really exist. The lines are kind of blurred back home. And as far as work goes, digital fatigue, like I didn't really talk about this in depth in my feeling second year video, but I strongly attribute my family experience as to why I suffer so much. It was just so hard to work. And even when I was trying to work, it's like I got all these noises going on. If I'm the type to take a while to get focused, that's why I like going for a walk in the morning so I can get rid of take my deep breaths, get chilled, come back, sit down for a bit, ready myself, then just go straight into the work. And I like to do that for several hours. Whereas at home, I might take a while to get focused. Now I'm in my zone and working. Like 20 minutes later, and then within 5 minutes, Mum starts, "Jordan, can you do this? Can you do that?" Or my brother starts playing games, and now I just hear him talking in his headphones behind me. Or my dad starts complaining about this, that, and the other, doing dishes, whatever. It's like it's just difficult to manifest like an actual working environment when I'm at home versus here where I've got complete control over my own space. So obviously it's different for everyone. I'm not going to say this is the best way to do it or the worst way. I think for me it's by far the best way. I do understand the benefit of being at home, especially in the topic of being able to see each other. Like I talked earlier about not being able to go out, that also applies with your friends and family. It would be great, for most people, I feel like if you can actually interact with people consistently, especially for me when my friends are actually going back home, for Christmas, I'm planning to stay here. Well, it's literally going to be just me in the flat, and I can definitely see the benefit, in that circumstance, being able to see each other, interact with other human beings, and just look out for each other as well, to be fair. Like, actually making sure everyone's okay, which is something that you can't really do when there's no one here. But yeah, for me, again, that I'd much rather be here in Bristol. I benefit from, as I said, having my own space, and being able to do things without having to worry about others. I think COVID, segueing into that briefly as well, me being 22 years old, relatively healthy, I take my vitamins every day, which includes omega-3 and vitamin D, which is supposed to be like a very good vitamin to take during this pandemic. Like, and I've been taking that for years as well, but it's like like I know I'm relatively safe. Obviously, when you talk about odds, like 1 in a million might die or something, I could very much be that one. There's no telling if I could get a mild case, major case, or like if I might end up dying or something. I can't know for sure, but statistically, I'm quite safe, so I'm not as concerned for myself as I am for other people. Like my problems, I don't want to give it to someone else. Versus my mum, for example, who's actually high risk. In Bristol, as I said, I don't mind going out as much. Obviously now it's tier 3, I'm not going anywhere. But when we hopefully we go down the tier list and we're allowed to go outside a bit more, I'm happy to see people, like other friends who are also fine with being seen. I'm not going to show up at someone's house, but I'm happy to operate within the rules outside for myself, knowing that, as I said, I'm going to be relatively safe. Whereas if I'm going out at home and potentially getting it and bringing it back to my household, and my parents are higher risk than myself, and then who might go and see my grandparents who are also higher risk, like, that compounding effect just is not worth it for me at all. Whereas out here, as I said, because it's me, it's my space, I'm controlled, so it's fine. And then segueing that, as I said, into COVID a bit more. I don't want to go into extreme depth about my thoughts on it. I mean, it's been around for, 8 months now, since March, 3rd month now, December, so 9 months. It's been around for a long time, relative long time, I guess. You've probably seen it, loads of videos and read loads of blogs and seen the news infinite number of times, constantly talking about it. So I don't really want to go into too much depth here. But it's mad. It's so mad, especially at uni, because it's like, obviously there's no right time to do things. Like there's no way you could have predicted what would happen. But for me, in my experience at uni, like when I started in 2016, we had Trump became president. We had Brexit vote happened. 2017, I can't remember what. I don't think there was anything like global crazy that happened in 2016. But obviously now, 4 years later, with the US election again, Grenfell Tower was at some point, and obviously I live in London, so Grenfell Tower, that was quite bad for me. I used to live around there as well. You see all this random, crazy political landscape in the world at the moment. Obviously COVID this year, and it's just nuts how I'm like, the whole outside world. People always say like, oh, uni, you got to get a job, and then literally every year I've been here, it's like, oh, the job market isn't great right now. The job market isn't great right now. Maybe you should wait a couple of years, take a gap year or something. And it's like, it's constantly being reinforced in my mind that like the actual outside world isn't great. Like, first of all, uni is a bubble and you're not really being exposed to all of that anyway. And then secondly, like, you don't actually want to go out there. You don't actually want to go out. It's not necessarily like, oh, you can't go out because you'll catch something. It's like, you actually don't want to be applying to jobs in this climate. You actually don't want to be, working in this climate. Like, it's very hard, man. It's very hard. And yeah, without going into, as I said, without too much depth, I think the actual climate is just nuts. I think the impact it's had on me as a student, and having experienced and actually observed the student landscape in Bristol, is quite interesting, because I feel like I've touched on briefly how we don't get to see each other as much because we're all inside, but that is actually a big issue in many ways. Like, if you're doing group work projects, and for me, who's retaking second year, next year I'm being reintegrated in third year of like the actual third year cohort. I don't actually know anyone in my year group, and I'm not going to get to see anyone in my year group either, because I'm not going out. There's nothing really going on campus. And I can only imagine there's other people in my same situation that are kind of worried about how am I going to... I mean, starting a year again is really hard enough where you don't know anyone. But now there's like a whole year out, and it's like, I don't really feel as bad, because in my head it's like those guys would have met in first year, last year. This year they'll be hanging out a bit, but it's not too much, because it's obviously they also can't see each other. So maybe third year will be like a bit of a... like, there'll be like a cooling down period. So they might be like, oh, so who are you? Were you here last year? I'm like, yeah, you just don't remember me because first year was like way back when. So maybe it's a bit easier to integrate myself, but I just think it's nuts. And yeah, that's essentially what I've got. I mean, as I said, I don't want to go into depth about COVID. If you guys do want like a comprehensive video of me talking about my thoughts on the COVID, I'm happy to do that. You can probably tell I've got a lot going on in my head. I've got a lot of thoughts about it. I just don't think now is the right place to discuss it, especially since, as I said, it's been so long, and this video is more focused on the university aspect of it. I think one final point, I guess, comparing like COVID and how it's affected the university environment, is that these exams, these online exams, and having to do everything online, I think people initially were happy about it. It's like, oh, it's more flexible. I can wake up whenever I want, log in whenever I want. I don't need to like put makeup on and look good. I can just like turn the laptop on and do what I got to do. People are excited about the idea of online exams, because I know several people, I don't actually know these people, but I've heard a lot of stories about people that are cheating, or that set up like a Zoom call in the background when they're doing the online tests and sharing screens. And obviously I didn't do too well, because I didn't cheat. I tried to do it myself. I didn't do too well in my exams. But I can imagine a lot of people that did do insanely well, that weren't doing as well in those other subjects, probably found a way to circumvent, authenticity during these periods. So I don't know. I'm not going to accuse anyone. I don't know for sure. I've always heard stories. You always hear things that go on in and around campus, but I can't say for sure, so I'm not going to make outlandish claims. But it's interesting for sure. I've heard a lot of people that are a bit more stressed about it, especially the first years, where it's like one day they went to school and that was just happened to be their last day. They never knew that was going to be the last day. They never really prepared for their exams, so they knew they weren't going to have to do them. And now they're coming straight into the university environment where they can't even see their course mates, they can't actually talk to the lecturers, and it's very chaotic. I think it's a bit mad. I'm not as worried or concerned for the final years, for example, because yes, the job market is difficult right now, but they kind of say that every year, and it's not like you have to apply this year either. You can take a while to just chill, relax for a year and apply later. Some people don't have that luxury, but at the same time, there are ways around it. It's not that bad. It's bad, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Whereas I think first years have a lot to deal with, and they lack the not necessarily the knowledge, but it's like, this is literally your first year at uni. You haven't actually got anything to go with, no basis for comparison, no reference point. So for them, it's a lot harder to try and learn a lot of stuff that they're probably gonna have to unlearn next year as well. Whereas like graduates, you've hopefully picked up enough life skills in your years at university to deal with not being able to get a job straight away after you graduate. But again, that's basically it. This was my final, again, 6-minute waffle window that I've talked about in the last video. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you have enjoyed it, of course, hit the like button. subscribe for more videos, comment down below if you have any questions. I've had a lot of DMs recently on Instagram, LinkedIn as well, quite interestingly, Twitter, whatever your platform is, I'm there. The links will be in the description below. Also check out my podcast, Undergraduate Survival Guide, or UGSG for short. We talk to all students from all backgrounds about their experience at university, their career journey, and just how they're doing. It's pretty cool. I mean, if you guys also want to be on it, feel free to ask. I'm happy to take invitations or whatever. So yeah, if you want to be on the pod, hit me up down below in the comments or DM me, whatever. And yeah, that's it from me. I'm gonna be sipping this AJ. AJ doesn't sound as good. I should buy some orange juice next time. But yeah.